Sup yinzers, it's Matty Worldwide with Ordinary Forks, and welcome to episode 2. We're going to be talking about the characteristics of oil. We're going to use some oil, we're going to taste some oil, and this yinzer is going to get down with his greasy side. So if you're looking for that, tune in, and if you see a chair outside of the house, don't park in my spot. Let's go. Bite 2 of Ordinary Forks, episode 2, oils and that, where in this episode I want to talk about the characteristics of oil, namely the color, the taste, refined versus unrefined. We're going to show you different smoke points of oil. If you're not familiar with that, smoke points are when you start to really change the flavor of that oil. And then we're going to show you common things that people do and don't do right when they're getting ready to start cooking something with oil. So follow along, let's start tasting, let's start looking, and here we go. Of the 5 oils we're going to talk about today, the first will be canola oil, and then we're going to get into a refined olive oil. We're going to go with the old Butcher Boy 100% pure refined coconut oil. And then the EVOO extra virgin olive oil, the stuff that's good for eating. And finally, we're going to do the canola cooking spray. Kind of crap. Alright, let's talk color and refinement, going from left to right, most refined to least refined, lightest color to darkest color. Here we go, let's take a look at them up close, and we'll talk a little bit about each. The pure canola oil is the most refined with the lightest color. It's also got the highest smoke point and the least amount of flavor. A little less refined is your cooking olive oil. Now there's still some olive solids in it. That's why it's got a little bit of a darker color, but it's got a little light flavor, but it is lighter than the extra virgin and less flavor. Why is that? Well, the extra virgin has a little bit more of them olive impurities still in it. That's why you get more of that concentrated flavor. And some of the nicer olive oils actually get up to neon green and various shades of green. So, it's something to look out for. Next up is coconut oil. Coming up right after the olive oils, and can come refined or unrefined. It has a smoke point to reflect each. The refined doesn't have much flavor. The unrefined has a lot of flavor. Let's go and get into the tasting. All right, and now for the canola oil. There's not really much to it. It basically just tastes like thick liquid. There's probably a dirty joke in there somewhere. That is not something I would put down my throat often. Alas, we do it for the people. Next up is the refined olive oil, the cooking olive oil. Alright, in this it's slightly less refined than the canola oil, but and you're going to get just a hint. If you're familiar with olive oil, you get just a hint of olive oil in there, but it's basically thick liquid with some sort of viscosity. Nothing too great. Go for water. The extra virgin olive oil, I'm expecting a lot more flavor, although considering the quality of it, it's probably not going to be that heavy. Yes, see, that has a distinctly sharper taste. It has a bite. You get a little bit of the olive oil bite in the back of the throat. It's for what it's for, a much better alternative if you're making a dressing or if you're dipping bread or something like that. Last but not least, my probably least favorite to just do is the coconut oil. It's refined coconut oil, and like the canola oil or like the refined olive oil, it lacks a flavor, but it has a viscosity. Although refined coconut oil has a little bit of an aftertaste I'm not too keen on. All right, let's try the cooking spray. That tastes disgusting. It tastes like the chemical air that they use to compress air and shoot stuff out of a can. You should think about that. Look at our heat test, look at our smoke point test, and look at my face after I taste it. Think about that when you choose to use cooking spray on things. It has a very chemical. It goes away, but I don't like imparting flavors into my food that aren't supposed to be there, or at least have that sort of flavor. So yeah, there's your taste test. All right, now let's all get on to the cooking. Hey, all you yinzers, let's do a smoke point test. All right, let's see how long it takes to take a cool to warm pan up to smoke point for these various oils. So, we're going to start off with a little time lapse just to show you what we're doing here. This was pure canola, which is going to take about 2 minutes. Olive oil is really similar in nature to canola, so it's about the same. I think a pan heating problem there, a little over 2 minutes. Then we got refined coconut oil, starts as a solid. Does melt down. The unrefined is the same way, although the unrefined has more flavor and a lower smoke point. Refined here does also have a pretty low smoke point. All right, let's move into canola cooking spray, my least favorite of the group, because it tends to not work with nonstick pans. It gets brown early. I think something in the chemicals is supposed to seed into the metal and it just doesn't, and then it burns pretty quickly, and it's generally not a good cook. All right, let's cook. First thing I want to showcase off is what happens when you use a cold pan with cold oil. Now, this is something I wouldn't suggest anyone to go about doing. This is just really for me to show, what might happen to the meat or what happens to the meat when you do this. You're not going to get the sort of sautéing effects you're looking for. You're not going to sear that outside while maintaining the moisture on the inside. Be a jagoff. Wash your hands after you touch raw meat or any other surfaces to protect against viral and bacterial infections. And as you're going to see here, I'm going to zoom in on the meat. It's essentially been boiled. You haven't seared it. Most of the meat's going to be white and sort of pale looking. Not real appetizing at all. Seeing it took just about over 8 minutes to get from cold pan, cold oil to cooked. All right, let's recap. Using cold pan with a cold oil, you're going to be a jagoff. It's something you're going to have to watch out for the entire time you're cooking. You're normally going to leave food greasier. You're normally going to boil the food and not sear it. Depending on the oil, you could have smoke point flavors. It's just a bad idea. All right, let's move on to preferred. We're talking about hot pans and hot oil, baby. Really, this is how you kind of want to get into it. And if you're noticing, I'm letting that pan heat up 2 minutes before I'm even putting in my canola oil. That ensures that the pan has met the average heating temperature of the coils. And I specify average because heating coils pulse, and it's something to remember when you're using any oil. Now, if you're paying attention at home, we put in the oil with 2 minutes, and there I gotta wipe a little bit of water out of there. I'm bouncing in between takes, cooling off the pan, wiping it out, cleaning it. I'll just provide quality content for the yinzers at home. Now, I waited another full 2 minutes till I go ahead and put in the chicken. What this does is it makes sure that the oil is roughly the same temperature as the heating coil, which is roughly the same temperature as the pan, which means that the cold thing touching the pan is going to be able to sear to the hot thing. Obviously, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically the gist of it. We here at Ordinary Forks aren't messing around. If you're touching raw meat, don't be a jag. Wash your hands. Important thing to note in this shot is that while I'm mincing around and pulling up pretty well seared pieces of chicken from the pan, is that to cook an entire pan of chicken to seared and then finish it off to where it needs to be, it's going to take about 7.5 to 8 minutes. All right, let's recap. If you use a hot pan with hot oil, you too can win like a Rooney. You're going to end up searing your meat instead of boiling it. You're going to end up having a more consistent temperature throughout, but you're still going to have issues if you're on an electric stovetop. My recommendation is to find yourself a consistent gas heat, but if you can't have one of those, just watch and stay patient with your dish. All right, for episode 2, bite 2, oils and that, getting in the kitchen. I'd like to thank y'all for stopping by and hanging out with me for a little bit. I appreciate you letting me take the time to explain various oils to you. I'm sure you're entertained watching me drink some pretty disgusting flavored liquids and eating coconut oil for some godforsaken reason. Join us on Friday. We'll recap the week, introduce some of the local stuff I'm interested in right now, and talk about what we're going to do for next week. Till then, remember, it doesn't have to look pretty, but it probably should be good. Peace out, Forkers. It's Matty Worldwide with Ordinary